All right, good evening, everyone. It's Kyle Henderson and Kyle Henderson's my son. We're coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Thank you for joining us on the show tonight. We got a great show lined up as Alabama takes on Tennessee this weekend from Neyland Stadium. Be my first time in Neyland. I want to get your calls tonight, 205-686-3604. We're going to talk about this game. We're going to talk about the matchup, and I'm going to take your calls in just a little while. But first, Caden has a message for you, and then he's off to bed. Go ahead, Caden.
Hey guys, my name's Caden. I hope y'all enjoy the show, and good night.
And
Roll Tide.
There you go. All right, take it easy, buddy. Okay, we'll see you in a little while. Kyle Henderson making his first appearance on the BamaInsider.com live stream. Thanks for joining us from wherever you are. And first, before we get started, here's a show outline, and I'll get that for you guys right now. Tonight, we're going to have the Saban press conference, but before that, we're going to talk about the Hungry Hawaiian. I want you guys to check out hungryhawaiian.net. Got some great Hawaiian snacks. You guys are already supporting Tua. Might as well support the Hungry Hawaiian. We're going to talk about Saban versus former staff members. It's an incredible stat that you got to check out. We're going to do another deep dive on Tua Tagovailoa, as we always do. Look at the offensive stats, defensive stats, offensive grade outs, and we will take your call. The number is 205-686-3604. We'll get to your calls in just a moment. I want to tell you about our friends at Hungry Hawaiian real quick before we start. Hungry Hawaiian is out of the great state of Hawaii, and they got some great snacks. They were kind enough, and it's Rick Saunders, who's the owner of Hungry Hawaiian, sent me a whole care package, and they got some really good snacks, including some shortbread cookies, some macadamia cookies that are out of this world. And I want to show you another one. They also got some dry mangoes, some gummies, and my favorite is the jerky. It's a fish jerky. Check this out. It's marlin. It's teriyaki. It's incredible. I love it. It comes nicely packaged. This is dry mango. Check it out. Tell your friends, hungryhawaiian.net. Hear those shortbread cookies I've been telling you about, or I just told you about. Hungry Hawaiian. And when they send it to you, it comes nicely packaged, and it's great. I mean, I'm a huge jerky guy. I've always been accustomed to beef jerky, but fish jerky is great. I want to show you one more thing before we get the show going. Check this out. This is literally a mango cut up in the bag. It's wet mango, and it's even got the pit in the bag. So check them out. hungryhawaiian.net. Tell them Kyle Henderson sent you. Special thanks to Rick Saunders at the Hungry Hawaiian. Thanks for joining us from wherever you are. Kyle Henderson, we got a ton of stats to throw at you and all the action back on BamaInsider.com. My email is kyle@BamaInsider.com. Here is Nick Saban talking before Tennessee. Here is that video clip. Give me 1 second. And here's Nick Saban.
How's everybody? Well, we've had good spirit, in practice this week, which is encouraging. I think the big thing that I would emphasize with the players is, finishing plays, finishing blocks, finishing runs, finishing catches. These are all the things that I think that we can certainly pay attention to detail on, doing the little things right, technique-wise. I mean, that seems to be the issues that we have when things don't go the way we'd like for them to go, and I think we got to get those things cleaned up, tomorrow in practice, so we give ourselves the best chance to, play the best game we can play, on Saturday. I think Tennessee's playing the best football they've played all season. They're playing hard. They're executing well. Their players look like they have a lot of confidence, and so it's going to be important that we go there and play our very best game. And I think in games like this, these types of rivalry games, I don't think that records mean that much. Be a lot of emotion in the game. And our players got to understand that years from now and years down the road, when you say you played at Alabama, they're going to say, what was your record against Tennessee? What was your record against Auburn? And how many championships you win? So I guarantee you those are 3 questions that you're going to get asked. So this is the game we got this week. It's a big game, and I think it's important that our players are ready to play this game as well. So, I don't have anything to report on the injury front. Everybody seems to be doing okay.
Okay, Coach, we'll start in the middle. Michael?
Where have you seen Tennessee's passing game evolve from last year to this year?
Well, first of all, the quarterback's playing really well. I think he's completing 65% of his passes. I think they have really good receivers. They have some guys that have some size, and they're really good at going after the 50-50 balls down the field, which I think they hit 6 of them last week in the game, all for big plays. That's the 2 areas, but I also think conceptually they're doing a lot of stuff that they did at USC, which is where Tyson Helton came from, who's a really good coach. I used to coach with his dad. Knew those guys when they were in grade school, and now they're presenting problems out there for old guys like me. So, but they do a really good job of executing, and I think their players have a lot of confidence.
Coach, we'll come back over in the right with Charlie.
Do you have an update on Lester Cotton in the left guard position?
What kind of update? He played in the last game. I mean, he's competing for a job just like everybody else around here. So, he twisted his ankle a little bit. He probably wasn't 100% in the last game. But he has every opportunity to go out there and do things the way he needs to do them so he can go out and play. And there's competition at every position. I don't, some players think that I don't like them. I like performance. That's what I like.
Coach, right back here with Mark. This is the last one unless somebody's got another.
Just what about this wide receiver group makes them so explosive after the catch?
You talking about our group?
Yeah, your guys.
Well, I think they've got really good speed. I think all those guys are really, really competitive. They've got really good hands. I think we have a pretty good system that we've been able to utilize, those things that they can make explosive plays. They all have ability to run after the catch. So, and I think that the quarterbacks have done a good job of getting the ball when we have the opportunities to make those plays, and they've given them catchable balls, and they've been able to finish plays and make a lot of big plays. But these guys have really good speed. They're good getting in and out of breaks. They get good hands. Smitty's the only guy that I would say would be questionable for this game. Hadn't been able to practice to this point.
Coach, we'll finish up here with Tony.
I was actually going to ask you about Devontae Smith. Just what have you seen from him this week in terms of what he's been able to do?
What did I just say? I just said he hadn't been able to practice, so I haven't seen him do anything. Walk around with me, talk to me.
Okay, so he hasn't been able to do anything?
Yes.
Okay.
How many ways can I say that?
I'm with you. Coach, that's all we got tonight.
All right, that was Nick Saban. Is Smitty playing this weekend? No. And if you remember BamaInsider.com, I actually reported that right after the game, got an inside tip that Devontae Smith likely had a couple weeks with the pulled muscle. So if you're just joining us, welcome to the show. It's Kyle Henderson at BamaInsider.com. Alabama will take on Tennessee October 20th, 2:30 p.m. on CBS. Thanks for joining us. So Devontae Smith out for this weekend. And remember, Alabama has an open week next weekend, so they can get a couple guys to Hill, including Tua. I know a lot of people were saying that Tua has all sorts of injuries, and that he even had a fake leg. It was pretty comical, but Nick Saban came out, said that he is healthy, and actually looked better than he's looked before the Missouri game. So that's good news for Alabama fans. He does have a brace on his knee. Doesn't look like it's been bothering him much. He's taken all the snaps. So Alabama fans, rest assured your quarterback is good to go for Tennessee. Alabama actually another 29-point favorite against the Vols. Vols have not beat Alabama in quite some time, and I actually have a couple graphics for you. And this is actually Nick Saban versus assistant coaches. And check this out. I mean, Nick Saban, since 2007, has just dominated former staffers who have became head coaches at other programs. Started way back in 2010 against Derek Dooley, and Alabama beat Tennessee 41-10, all the way to last year when Alabama beat Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs in the 2018 National Championship game 26-23 in overtime. Jimbo Fisher also met Alabama with Texas A&M and Florida State. So 14-0 against the competition, and Nick Saban continues to be the top dog when facing former assistants that are now head coaches. Thought that was a really interesting stat that I wanted to show you. Right after that, we do a deep dive always on the program onto Tua Tagovailoa. And how we break this down is this is the passing direction. And up top, we'll start at the outside left. He's 4 of 7, 110 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. It's an incredible grade out of 95.9 between the numbers, 97.3. And to the outside left, if I can bring that in a little bit better for you. Let's see if that... Sorry, sometimes like the editing, I have to kind of edit on the fly to make sure things line up on your screen. Try that out. That should be a little bit better. To the outside right, 92.4, which is also incredible. 4 of 7, 144 yards with 2 touchdowns. Now, right here across the middle, very important, 17 of 23, 381 yards and 5 touchdowns. Well, what's he doing across the middle of the field? Well, it's the run-pass option where Tua, he's going to give it to the running back, or he's going to read what the linebackers are doing. Now, if the linebackers are coming up to play the rush, Tua's going to pull it and likely hit a wide receiver by the name of Jerry Jeudy, who has been doing fantastic things for Alabama this year. One of the top wide receivers in the country, and that's where you see Tua going across the middle of the field. He does a really great job reading those linebackers, reading the coverage, and getting the ball out. So 17 for 23, very important number. When you're looking at this passing directional chart for Tua. And then up top, as I mentioned, those are passes thrown over 20 yards. It's incredible. To the outside left, 3 for 8, 79.9 grade out. I mean, overall, Tua's numbers, just fantastic. Thanks for joining us on the program. This is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Before I get to these offensive and defensive stats, just want to say thanks for joining us. You can put in the comment box where you're coming from. I really like to see where our followers and our viewers are from. So if you can put where you're from in the comment box, and I'll open up the call line in just a minute, 205-686-3604. I got my lay on, as I usually do, from Mitch in Hawaii. And thank you very much. Very humbled that the Hawaiian, I mean, it's just... the Hawaiians are taking care of me, gotta say, hooking me up. I love it, you know, supporting Tua and getting a little bit of love to Kyle Henderson. So thank you so much. It's really great to be on the show tonight. And let's look at some more stats. And these are actually the defensive stats. And I actually wanted to show you guys, before we got into that, I want to show you the offensive stats. So these are the offensive stats. Let's look at the offensive stats first, and then we'll look at the defensive stats. Take your calls in just a minute. 205-686-3604 is the call-in line. Rushing, Najee Harris, 439 yards, 4 touchdowns. Damian Harris, 423 yards, off just 65 attempts, 4 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs actually has the most touchdowns on the team through the running backs with 6 touchdowns. He has 199 yards of net yardage. Passing wise, Tua Tagovailoa, 248 efficiency. It's mind-blowing what he's doing, right, with the football. 88 of 123, 71% throwing the football, 1,760 yards with 21 touchdowns, longest of 81, averaging per game, get this, 251.4. Jalen Hurts also has a nice little efficiency, 198.42. It's pretty incredible how much Jalen has improved. I think he's working with Tua. He's working with Dan Enos, the quarterback's coach. I really like to see the improvement from Jalen. It's just been great to see the way that both of those young men have handled themselves this year with the success of Alabama. I was really thrilled to see Tua on Monday Night Football. Did everyone see Tua on Monday Night Football? We'll talk about that in just a second. That was incredible. Jerry Jeudy, 26 receptions, 705 yards, 27.1 average, 9 touchdowns. 81 yards was the longest from Tua Tagovailoa. Devontae Smith, second on the team, 21 receptions for 409 yards with 3 touchdowns. Let's take a look at the defensive stats. Going into Week 8 against Tennessee, Deontay Thompson through 7 games, 40 tackles, which leads the team, and 2 interceptions. Dylan Moses, 38 tackles. Mack Wilson, we saw a big improvement from him last game. Had a very high grade out on Pro Football Focus. 32 tackles. Xavier McKinney having a very strong season, 31 tackles. Quinnen Williams, who's playing out of this world, by far the best defensive player through the midseason point, 29 tackles. Raekwon Davis, he has 27 tackles and still looking for that first sack. Isaiah Buggs actually leads the team in sacks with 8 sacks. Christian Miller has 4.5 sacks. And then Shaheem Carter has 2 interceptions, and Savion Smith now leads the team in 3 interceptions after grabbing 2 interceptions against Missouri last week. Thanks for checking in, everyone. It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Did you all see Tua on Monday Night Football at halftime and then after? I've talked to Tua. We've talked to Tua, the media has, a couple times. The young man handles himself just in an incredible fashion. I mean, think of all the accolades that everybody's already throwing on him. The big-time favorite to win the Heisman Trophy, leading this offense, but never once did he say "I" during that interview with Scott Van Pelt. Thought it was just it was great to see how humble he is, and I think a good mentor for the kids coming up. Right? I want to show you guys more stats on Bama Insider. Thanks for joining us. Let me transition this out real quick, and we'll continue with the show, and then I'll take your calls at 205-686-3604. As I always do, let me see. Give me 1 second real quick. I want to show you, these are the offensive grade outs. You guys have watched the show long enough to where I don't really have to explain the whole chart. But if you're new to the show, the player's name is on the far left, how many games they've played. The total is actually the snap count. So the higher the snap count gives you a really good depiction of how much the player has played. And then on the far right is the offensive grade overall. The higher the grade, the better the player has played. And let's take Tua at that number 9 slot. He has a 92.9 grade out, which is fantastic. I mean, that's high level stuff. He actually made Pro Football Focus's midseason All-American team, him and Jonah Williams, who's at the number 3 spot on your screen at 73.9, both made the Pro Football Focus midseason All-American team. Tough to do. Ross Pierce-Barker, starting his first year at center, although he is a seasoned lineman, 64.4 grade out. Alex Leatherwood, 68.7. Jedrick Wills, 73.9. Lester Cotton, 74.4. And as Saban said, Lester Cotton's still fighting for a spot. Here, Deontay Brown could make a push for that starting spot. That would be interesting. Devontae Smith, who's having a great year, who will be out against Tennessee, 73.7. Jerry Jeudy, who's just balling out of control, 84.1. Henry Ruggs doing his thing, 75.6. The Montgomery product, as I mentioned, Tua doing his thing, and still the clear-cut Heisman Trophy favorite. Irv Smith having a great season. Really excited for this young man. I knew Irv Smith had it, and I'm glad to see Alabama using him. Hell Hentage, 58.1. It's not the best grade out, but Hell Hentage does a lot of the dirty work, a lot of the blocking downfield that people on TV probably take for granted, but don't lose sight of what Hell Hentage provides for this team. Also caught 2 touchdown passes this year. Jalen Waddle, how about an 85.5 for a true freshman? I'll take that all day. It's a former 5-star. And Jalen Hurts, having a great year, 80.8 grade out. When Saban has needed him, Jalen Hurts has performed quite well. And then Damian Harris at 79.4. Those are your offensive grades going into Week 8. Here are your defensive grades. Xavier McKinney, 83.7 grade out. As I said, as I keep saying, Xavier McKinney having a great year. Deontay Thompson balling out, 91.9. Him and Quinnen Williams actually made the preseason or the midseason All-American team as well on Pro Football Focus. Those two represent Alabama on defense, Tua and Jonah on offense. Patrick Surtain, another true freshman, starting 391 snaps for a true freshman, 73.5 grade out. Mack Wilson, saw a lot of improvement from him against Missouri, now sitting at a grade of 70.0. Trayvon Diggs, who's likely out for the year with a broken foot, 75.8 grade out. Shaquem Carter, who has 2 interceptions, 76.4. Raekwon Davis, 82.3, having a good season. I'd like to see, I think we've all are expecting to see a little bit more from Raekwon Davis. Maybe we'll see that in the later part of the season. Dylan Moses, 70.3. I think he's having another big year. And Isaiah Buggs, I can't say enough about his play. I think he's one guy who's certainly eaten. He's a guy who's worked hard all summer, and it's paying off. Almost has 9 sacks, close to 10 sacks this season for Mr. Buggs. Savion Smith balled out last game, 2 interceptions. Quentin Williams, has to be the midseason MVP for Alabama on defense. Just what he's been able to do following Deron Payne has been very, very exciting for Alabama fans. He's so humble as well. You talk to him and you can mention all the success that he's had, and it's just like these young men. They're so coachable. It's what a joy for Saban, right? Okay, I'm gonna open up the line 205-686-3604. I want to get your calls on this team. I want to get your calls on this matchup. It's a third week in October, and Alabama is taking on Tennessee. Nearly a 30-point favorite against the Vols. It'll be my first time up in Neyland Stadium. I got some other stats in the meantime that I'll talk to you about. 205-686-3604 is the call-in line. Line is now open, and I'll read some more interesting stats about this game. Remember, the game is Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. Game is on CBS. Brad Nassler with the call. Gary Danielson will be your analyst. Last week, Alabama defeated Missouri 39-10. Tennessee defeated Auburn 30-24. Inside the series, Alabama and Tennessee, a.k.a. the third weekend in October, will be the 101st time that the two teams have met. Alabama has won the last 11 meetings between the two teams, including a 49-10 victory last season, or the last time, rather, that Alabama went to Knoxville in 2016. Nick Saban in his career, 13-1 against Tennessee, including 11-0 mark at Alabama. Line is open, 205-686-3604. Eastern streak, Alabama has defeated 22 SEC opponents in a row dating back to 2010. South Carolina, the last team to defeat the Crimson Tide, 35-21. We got our first call of the night. All right, good evening. You're on the show. It's Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is DJ from Ohio.
Hey, what's up, DJ? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? I think the defense going to get their first shutout this week, the starters, and they might give up some points when the second team come in.
I like it, DJ. I like it, man. The defense, don't you feel that we saw a lot of improvement from the defense against Missouri?
Oh, yeah. I feel like the linebackers, especially Dylan Moses, playing a lot better than normal. And hopefully they keep improving, and hopefully Matt keep watching game tape and stuff and keep being able to make the call quick.
It's good to see a player like Mac Wilson show some midseason, it's on me. He recognized that he needed to put in more work. He recognized that he needed to watch more film. And to see that implemented against Missouri, I think we all were pleasantly surprised with his improvement. I want to ask you about another player, Savion Smith. Remember, he lost his spot against Ole Miss. Trayvon Diggs goes down, comes in against Missouri against a very good quarterback, Drew Lock, has 2 interceptions. What are your thoughts on Savion Smith so far?
I've always been kind of higher on him than most people. I feel like he's been playing good, and then that play he gave up was to like one of the best wide receivers in the nation, DJ Metcalf. So I don't too much hold that against him.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Anything else while you're on the show, DJ?
Oh, no, just I appreciate what you do, and I love y'all website, and take care, man.
No doubt. Appreciate it, DJ.
All right, take care.
All right, DJ's one of our faithful callers. I always see you, DJ, on the recruiting board. DJ loves his recruiting, and you can get more recruiting tomorrow on Friday from Andrew Bone, who will be dropping his recruiting show right here on our YouTube channel. Check out, I know everyone's excited to see if George Pickens is going to flip and maybe join Alabama's class. And those wide receivers now turn their head towards Alabama because they want to be a part of this offense, who has now had over 500 yards in 7 consecutive games, if you can believe that. It's pretty incredible what this team is doing on the offensive side of the ball. All right, good evening. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling from?
This is Dustin from Picayune.
Hey, Dustin. How you doing tonight?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for calling the show. You're on the line. Go ahead. Shoot. Dustin, go ahead.
Yeah, man, I wanted to ask you, man, about the LSU game. What do you think about that?
I mean, LSU, it's going to be a tall task for Alabama. It's in Baton Rouge, and I think, LSU has been doing their thing at home under Ed Orgeron, who obviously ended the season coaching for his job. You got to look at LSU and give them credit. They beat Auburn at home. They beat Georgia at home. Those are two very good squads, and that would be their Super Bowl to beat Alabama. Now, on paper, Alabama's going to be the 2-touchdown favorite going into Baton Rouge, but if there's a game that Baton Rouge fans want more than any other game, I think it's this one against Alabama. Hopefully Alabama's completely healthy by that time, including Devontae Smith, including this nagging injury that Tua has had. Right now, obviously, Alabama's focused on Tennessee, but we've all had that game circled against LSU for a long time, and we're looking at it, and LSU continues to do their thing. I mean, beating Georgia, I never would have expected they would have beat Georgia, and I never would have expected they would have beat Auburn, but here they are, and sitting close to what are they ranked this week? Were they ranked 5? I think 5 or 4.
5.
So yeah, 5. So LSU's coming.
Yeah, I mean that's lining up to be a pretty big game, man, and it's in Baton Rouge, and most likely going to be at night.
Yeah, I think so. Oh yeah, I would suspect that game's at 8 o'clock on ESPN. I mean, we already have our rooms booked, and we're going to be staying in Baton Rouge. So, anything else while you're on the program, Dustin?
Nah, man, Kyle, dude. Like the last caller said, I appreciate what you do, man. It's nice to get on here with you guys.
Hey, we appreciate it, Dustin. Thank you so much for calling in.
Have a good night, man.
You too, buddy. All right, call-in line is open, 205-686-3604. Tennessee, big game, right? Don't overlook Tennessee. Tennessee just beat Auburn. Yeah, Auburn, little bit of a dumpster fire to the east of Tuscaloosa. But Jeremy Pruitt, solid coach. Good evening. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Thanks for calling in. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Antonio from Huntsville.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing tonight?
Doing great, man. Just getting ready for game day,
Oh yeah, I need to make it. I need to make it up to Huntsville at some point. I keep hearing good things about that place.
It's all right, man. Pretty good jobs and stuff up here. Well, my question was, with Devontae Smith probably not going to be able to play this week. Only time will tell. But you think we'll see more of Tyrell Shavers? Because I've been. That's one of the players, I've been looking forward to in this year, but for some reason, he's been on the sideline more than often, and I was like, man, he's 6'6", 216 pounds. At the Nike opening, he ran a 4.38 in the 40. I'm like, big guy, good speed. Is it just his route running in practice and him dropping balls? I'm like, why are we not seeing more? I know last week we saw him, but he kind of tripped over a route on the slant route or something like that. And I'm like, man, it's pretty good sized kid. I was wondering, if he had that good high upside on. Why are we not seeing more of him?
Yeah, well, thanks for the call from Huntsville. And just like you, I'm a big fan of Tyrell Shavers. Been following him for quite some time, and like you said, he's got all the dimensions. He's got the height, 6'6", over 200 pounds. You would think if they could get him in the red zone, he could be a very tough matchup problem. Now this year, I think Alabama just has so many weapons with Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, and with the addition of Jalen Waddle, it's probably made a push. It's probably made it more difficult for a guy like Tyrell Shavers or Derek Keefe to get onto the field, but I think you're going to start to see some of those guys being utilized now with Devontae Smith being out this particular game. To be honest, I've seen Tyrell Shavers drop a couple passes in practice. That's not saying that he has a case of the drops, but I've seen it. I've seen it more time than once, to be honest. And, maybe that could be something that's holding him back a little bit. But he's a redshirt freshman. And if he can trust in the process and continue to do his thing, I think we're going to see more Terrell Shavers. I want to. I know everybody wants to. And he's one guy that everybody keeps talking about. But high upside on Terrell Shavers. I wouldn't start to question anything too much right now. I think eventually he'll get his due. I mean, I think he's just too good to keep off the field. And hopefully Alabama finds a way to utilize him. Another thing is Alabama's scoring at such a quick rate. Seriously, 45 seconds, 30 seconds, 18 seconds, 8 seconds. You can't even get people on the field enough, right? I mean, it's crazy. It's like, 30-second drive. Well, we got 2 players of football, right? So I think in due time, Terrell Shavers will get his. Anything else while you're on the line?
That's about it, man. He's been on my mind for the longest, man. Because, it's been a while since we had, that extra big receiver, that we just lob it up to, they're just the one player I've been thinking about, looking forward to. When Bama, up like 45 or 10 or whatever, I was like, all right, let's see some Terrell Shavers, see if he get some routes in. Now I don't see him.
Now I will say this: if you go back and watch a couple of the games, he does make a couple good downfield blocks. I mean, he uses that big body of his. He's got that big wingspan. I've seen him bust open a couple plays downfield, but I would just hang tight on him. I think he's too good, and we'll probably see some Shavers here pretty soon.
Okay.
All right,
man. Hey, appreciate the call.
Thank you so much. Have a good night, man. Talk soon.
All right, you too.
Call-in line is open. 205-686-3604 is the number to call in. Feeling good. Having a good show tonight. Tomorrow, be driving to Knoxville, Tennessee. Saturday, we'll be checking into Neyland Stadium. I don't know what to expect from Neyland Stadium. I heard that they have a pretty good setup on the outside with the boats that they roll up to the tailgate. I don't go to the tailgates, obviously. I go to the games, but it'd be interesting to check out. I love checking out all the SEC venues, and actually one that surprised me was going to Starkville, Mississippi. Never been to Mississippi in my life. Went to Starkville last year, and the tailgate was lit. There was people as far as you could see. There's a bunch of cowboys, and it was a great little kind of like a ranch style community, and man, it was fun. Treated us very nice. Had some good food, and that stadium was by far the loudest stadium that I went to last season by far. The Iron Bowl was loud as well, but with those cowbells, when they start ringing together, it was loud. 205-686-3604 is the call-in number. Give me a call. We'd like to talk this matchup with you about Alabama taking on Tennessee, and we got another caller. All right, good evening. It's Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Mike from Kentucky. How you doing, Kyle?
Mike, it's good to hear from you. You always bring such good insight. I appreciate the call from Kentucky. Before we get started, what was the weather like out in your area? In Tuscaloosa, it finally started to cool down.
Oh, it's been really nice up here, mid-50s.
Oh, wow.
Sunshiny. I mean, perfect football weather.
Oh,
absolutely perfect weather for football.
All right, so what you got for us tonight?
And I'm just not concerned about Tennessee. I mean, they beat a Auburn football team with no offensive identity, and I think the defense is so burnt out on going out on the field all night that I'm not concerned about this Tennessee team. Remember a couple of years ago when Tennessee was loaded for bear, stud quarterback Dobbs, 2 stud running backs, stud defensive end, stud middle linebacker, stud safety. I mean, they were loaded for bear. They turned out to be a water pistol. I'm not the least bit concerned about Tennessee. I really hope Jalen plays the whole game. I imagine they'll put 2 in for a couple scores and pull him out.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen has torched Tennessee over the last couple of years. I mean, he's really done his thing against Tennessee. Yeah, he has owned him. And I'm curious to see, how Tua performs this game, because there was a couple plays. There was actually a lot of plays last game against Missouri where things shouldn't. They didn't look right. He was planting weird. They had some red zone issues. I want to see him in this game and see if he's a little bit more relaxed and feeling more comfortable with that knee. It doesn't seem like it's an issue. Everybody seemed to make it out to this huge deal, but like you said, kind of have him play a couple drives, fill it out, get him his yards, get him his touchdowns, and then put Jalen in and drop the hammer, right?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I'd like to discuss some recruiting, man. There's a kid that everybody's so high on, and I've watched a ton of film on him. And, yeah, he's a big fish in a small pond if you watch him on game film, but I'm talking about Clay Webb.
Yeah.
Dude, the guy's a holding machine, if you ask me. I mean, did you watch the Atlanta five-star lineman?
Yeah. I was me and Andrew Bone and I were actually at the camp, like down on the field. It was I saw him up close and personal.
Dude,
yeah.
I think he's a holding machine. Those elite guys with big frames that can keep him from getting under their pads. I mean, that guy chicken wing more guys, was grabbing guys around the neck. I mean, and I'm just not seeing it. I know he's strong as a stump, but, you know, my son was a state champion powerlifter up here in Kentucky, and he played ball. But, you know, he's like me. He looks like a refrigerator with a head. You know, he just didn't have the frame to play D1 football, but, you know, I don't know, man. I'll tell you the truth. I think he's going to go to Georgia. I think Kirby's going to tell him what he wants to hear, that he can play guard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what I think. I tried to like this kid. Yeah, you can tell he's a monster strength-wise, but his frame is short. His arms are short. I'm not seeing it. I think Pierce Quick was better as an O-lineman. I'd be way more disappointed if we don't get the kid out of Virginia.
You're talking about Darnell Wright.
I'd be way more disappointed if we don't get him than Clay Webb. I mean, that's just what I'm seeing. I mean, you know, if anybody, you know, kind of doubts it, just watch some of those five-star camps on YouTube film. He held way too much.
Yeah, Clay Webb, in case you're not following recruiting like Mike in Kentucky, Clay Webb is out of Oxford, Alabama. I think he's listed at 6'3", but it seems like he's maybe 6'2", but he does have a big frame. I mean, he's built, you know, out of concrete and tough to move. But the problem is with Alabama, from what and you'll have to ask Andrew. Andrew would know more backstory than I, but he doesn't want to play center and he wants to play guard, like you said, and that could probably help Georgia out in this recruiting race for the 5-star out of Alabama. I have a hard time seeing Alabama letting a 5-star get out of the state. With that said, look what happened with Justin Ross last year. Now Justin Ross playing at Clemson. So it does happen. But Clay Webb, if he did come into Alabama, potentially he could have a fight for a starting position at the center position with Ross Piersbacher leaving.
I think he's actually like some team that run like a misdirection offense. I mean, he's got really good footwork. He's got some pretty good speed for a big kid, you know, as a pulling left guard or something. I don't know though, man. I just kept watching him, and just there was a lot of kids that, man, if he wouldn't have grabbed him around the neck, would have got to the cone. I mean, that's the way I called it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the call tonight, Mike. Please keep calling back. I always enjoy catching up with you, and appreciate the last comment when you called in last time about the poultice for the knee.
Sure.
That was awesome.
That stuff works, man. I swear by it. I mean, it's probably not approved by the Federal Food and Drug Administration, but I'll tell you what, them horse trainers up in New York know how to tighten tendons, and they know how to keep, you know, the cheapest horse in the barn I rode in was like a $420,000 horse. They got that stuff on their legs every day, whether they needed it or not. All right, man, let me let somebody else talk.
Good stuff, Mike. Talk soon.
All right, roll tide.
Mike in Kentucky, always bringing the good stuff. 205-686-3604 is the call-in number. Be on the line for a little bit more. Take your calls. Third weekend in October, Alabama will take on Tennessee. Nearly a 30-point favorite, Alabama, going in this game. The Vegas didn't want to release the line. Usually they release the point spread on Sunday, but they weren't going to throw out any numbers until they knew that Tua was going to be playing. And then as soon as the Nick Saban press conference came on and Nick Saban said that he looked better than he did going into the Missouri week, boom, that line dropped and it was close to 30 points. Probably take that, I'd take that point spread. And I'd also take it probably at halftime. I haven't seen the line at half right now, but I would assume that Alabama continues to do what they do to opponents. And that's just roll them, right? This year, non-offensive touchdowns. Alabama has scored 6. Last year, they only scored 2. This year, they've scored 6. 4 interceptions, 4 touchdowns, all of them for touchdowns. Kick returns, punt return. Getting to the quarterback. Through 7 games, Alabama has had 23 sacks. Isaiah Buggs has 7.5 sacks. The 23 total sacks leads the SEC. Alabama has intercepted the football 12 times this season, which is second in the country. Saban Smith leads the team with 3 interceptions, as I mentioned earlier. Tua in the red zone. Alabama has scored 20 touchdowns on 24 red zone possessions with Tua at quarterback and is averaging, check this out, a touchdown every 7.7 plays with him in the game. Did you get that? With Tua at the helm, Alabama scoring a touchdown every 7 plays with him. It's like that's video game type stuff. Opening drives. Tua Tagovailoa has led Alabama to a touchdown in each of the Crimson Tide's 7 opening drives this season. 4 of those drives have lasted 3 plays or less. Crazy. Jerry Jeudy. How about the season Jerry Jeudy's having? Woo! Sophomore leads the nation with an average of 27.2 yards per reception, is second in the country with 9 touchdown catches this season. Who has more touchdowns than Jerry Jeudy? I'm going to have to look that up. It's hard to believe. Fake news. Drives under a minute. 18 of the Crimson Tide scoring drives this season have lasted less than a minute, with 9 lasting over a minute. It's crazy. Let's see. Did I read that right? 9 lasting less than a minute. Yeah, the pace that this team scores is crazy. Like last game, their longest scoring drive was 3 minutes and 28 seconds. Fans were like yawning, right? If it's not a minute, the fans are getting bored. First half scoring, just like I said earlier. Through 7 games, Alabama is outscoring the competition at half 268-44. If you're wondering about which freshmen have played this year, by the way, the calling line is open. I'll take a couple more calls. 205-686-3604. Which freshmen have played this year? Iyabi Anoma, Slade Bolden, Skylar DeLong, Jerome Ford, Josh Jobe, Ali Cajo, Cameron Latu, Jalen Moody, Patrick Surtain, Jalen Waddle, Xavier Williams, Stephon Wynn, and Emil Iyikior. Now, Skylar DeLong, Josh Jobe, Ali Cajo, Jalen Moody, Patrick Surtain, Jalen Waddle have all burned their red shirts. Those guys have played over 4 games this season. Skylar DeLong having a tough time as Alabama's punter. Last game, came on the field, kicked 1 punt, went 12 yards. That was not good. I was kind of wondering, like I said last time, like, what if you put Jalen back there as a rugby-style punter? Am I talking crazy there? I mean, he can throw. Maybe he can punt. I don't know. Surely he can punt more than 4 yards. Players of the week for Alabama this last week on offense, it was Josh Jacobs, Jerry Jeudy, and Jedrick Wills on offense. On defense, Christian Miller, Savion Smith, Quinnen Williams. Special teams, Joseph Bolovas, Josh Jacobs as well. And as I just mentioned, those are the players of the week. So, no, it's been a good show. Thanks for calling in. As I always do towards the end of the show, I'd like to thank our members of the United States military, past or present. Thank you so much. It's always a great honor and, to live in this country. So thank you so much. It means a great deal to our staff, to our family here in Tuscaloosa, to everywhere. So don't forget that. You see a veteran, tell them thank you for their service. It goes a long way. It's important. Thank you for joining us on the show tonight. It's been a great show. I'm always humbled to get on here and to talk with our Alabama fans from all over the country. Feeling good. Alabama, Tennessee. It's going to be a great game. Game is on CBS, 2:30 on Saturday. From Tuscaloosa, Alabama, my name is Kyle Henderson. Email is kyle@bamainsider.com. Have a great evening and a great weekend. Crimson Tide in Tennessee, just a couple days away. Thank you very much for being on our show tonight. Have a good evening, and we'll talk soon. See ya.